Hello, and welcome to another one of Senor Johnson's Spanish podcasts. Okay, welcome to episode 9 of Senor Johnson's Spanish 1 podcast. It's been a little long time coming. I apologize for the tardiness. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Our objectives for today is that you should be able to use gustar. That's a new verb. You should be able to use gustar to talk about things that you like and things that you don't like in Spanish properly. Let's go ahead and get started on that by looking at some new vocabulary words. These vocabulary words are going to be infinitive verbs, okay? You don't necessarily need to know what an infinitive verb is yet. Just remember that these verbs I'm about to tell you are infinitive. And the first verb, bailar. 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 That means to dance. Next verb, leer. 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 And that means to read. Next verb, cantar. 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 And that means to sing. Next verb, nadar. 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 And that means to swim. Next verb, comer. 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 And that means to eat. Next verb, patinar. 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 And that means to skate, like roller skating. Next verb, escribir. 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 That means to write. Next verb, trabajar. 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 And that means to work. Alright, well that was the end of the verbs. I hope you certainly pronounced them. I mean, it's kind of the reason I break them down the way I do. If you didn't, we'll rewind it and pronounce them this time. Now, if we're moving on to the grammar, today we're going to talk about the verb gustar and how to use it with infinitive verbs to say things that you don't like or don't like. First off, you have 3 phrases in front of you. Me gusta, te gusta, le gusta. Let's pronounce those again. Me gusta, me gusta, te gusta, te gusta, le gusta, le gusta. Me gusta, te gusta, le gusta. Pronounce them. Love them. Now, me gusta, you're saying, I like. You're actually literally saying, it pleases me. Alright? Te gusta, you like, or it pleases you. Le gusta, he likes, or she likes, or it pleases him, or it pleases her. There really is no way to tell gender on that one. With le gusta, you probably have to put a noun in there somewhere. Or it was talked about earlier on in the paragraph. Now, to use gusta, you combine a gusta phrase, one of the 3, me gusta, te gusta, or le gusta, with an infinitive verb, which I just gave you a bunch of. And you use that to say things that you like or that you don't like. For example, me gusta correr would be, I like to run. Me gusta trabajar, I like to work. Te gusta leer, you like to read. Alright? So going to get some practice in. On to the practica. Now, in the sentences that follow, what I'm going to want you to do, I'm going to give you a question in Spanish about likes and dislikes. And I want you to answer it in Spanish with either a yes I like or a no I don't like. Okay? Let's do the first one. ¿Te gusta bailar en las fiestas? ¿Te gusta bailar en las fiestas? The question is, what does that mean? Well, if you remember back to that a few minutes ago, seconds ago probably, te gusta was you like. So as a question, do you like? Well, te gusta bailar? Do you like, well, what was bailar? Think back, remember. To dance. So, do you like to dance? I'm sorry, but everybody should know what a fiesta is. So, do you like to dance in the parties or at the parties? Well, let's see. Pause the podcast, write down a sentence, or think of one in your head. Play the podcast when you're ready to go again. Alright, at this point you should be ready to go again. We should be able to go into the answer this sentence, which is, Sí, me gusta bailar en las fiestas. Now I answered this for myself with, yes, I like to dance at parties. Sí, me gusta bailar en las fiestas. If I wanted to say no, I would have said, no, no me gusta bailar en las fiestas. But, since I like to, I'll put, sí me gusta bailar en las fiestas. Alright, next question. ¿Te gusta cantar en concursos? ¿Te gusta cantar en concursos? Well, you should remember, te gusta means you like. Well, as a question, do you like? Cantar, what was that verb again? Sing, that's right, sing. So, te gusta cantar. Do you like to sing in concursos, in contests? Remember, we learned concursos a couple chapters ago. So, do you like to sing in contests? Well, this time I'm going to put a no answer online. See if you can figure out what it would be. Pause it, come back. Well, let's see if you had it right. The answer should have been, if you put no, no me gusta cantar en concursos. Now, I realize you see two no's in there. First off, we need to go ahead and get this out of the way. In Spanish, double negatives are okay. In fact, not only are they okay, sometimes they're required. But in this sentence, we're saying the first no is just a no. The second no is I don't. Alright? Because of the me gusta, or it doesn't please me. It doesn't make me happy. I don't like to sing in contests. So, no me gusta cantar en concursos means no, I don't like to sing in contests. Alright, next question. ¿Le gusta escribir poemas? ¿Le gusta escribir poemas? Well, you might remember le gusta. That means does he or she like? We're not really sure here yet. Does he or she like? What is escribir? If you remember back to the infinitive verbs a second ago, that was to write. So does he or she like to write? Well, poemas should be easy. Poems. Does he or she like to write poems? Well, write down an answer. Sí or no, either one, and come back after you've checked that. All right, by now you should have an answer. Let's take a look and see what I wrote. All right, no le gusta escribir poemas. Like, no, he doesn't like to write poems. Now, if you'd written, yes, he does, that would have been, sí, le gusta escribir poemas. Alright, next question. ¿Te gusta comer pizza? Remember, te gusta, that means do you like. What is comer? That was back in the infinitive verbs. And that means to eat. Alright, so do you like to eat? And so help me, you need to know what that word means. If you don't, we need to have a talk. That's pizza. That's an obvious cognate, a look-alike word. So, ¿te gusta comer pizza? You like to eat pizza? Well, what person doesn't? Sí, me gusta comer pizza. Yes, I like to eat pizza. If for some reason you don't, well, that would be no me gusta comer pizza. Alright, last question. ¿Le gusta nadar? We know that le gusta means that he or she like. I used he before, so this time I use she. Does she like, let's see, nadar, that means to swim. Does she like to swim? You know? I'm going to answer this one for a yes, but you pause it, write down what you think a yes answer would look like, and come back when you're ready to check. Alright, at this point you should be ready to check. Let's go on and we should see, sí, le gusta nadar. Does she like to swim? Yes, she likes to swim. Well, I certainly hope this podcast helped. Review it, go over it again if you need to, and by all means, ask questions in class. Alright? Let me know either through email at jjohnson2@ebrschools.org or through the Blackboard website, blackboard.ebrpss.k12.la.us. Hit the discussion boards, leave me a little note about the podcast. Let me know if there's something you think might help a little better. You don't forget, you also need to do your learning logs. And also, don't forget, you can subscribe to these podcasts through iTunes. Okay? If you go to iTunes, on the iTunes store, you search for Terra High Spanish. You get a couple of them. Looking for Terra High Spanish 1 if you're looking for the Spanish 1 podcast. And that way, it's always up to date. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube. And I don't really know if TeacherTube has a subscription feature yet. But, yeah, either way. So, if you have any questions, by all means contact me. Until then, I'll see you in class. Hasta mañana.